RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Rational Investors Daily Brief. Brian slumming it in a t-shirt today and a baseball cap. Man, I don't know whether you guys have noticed, but geez, there's such a funny vibe in the world right now. I was supposed to have appointments with accountants and stuff, and they kind of bailed on me on the last minute yesterday. I went to an options seminar yesterday. I was joking with Chris before we got the video going. It was like hosted by Interactive Brokers, and it was like just an absolute complete waste of time. I couldn't believe how amateur the conversation was. It was like, this is an option. It's like, you got to be kidding me. Anyway, I have an appointment at the bank today. So let's see how that goes. Thank heavens. I'm one of those people, neither a borrower nor a lender be. And I have no credit card debt. I own my car. I just pay rent on this apartment. No strings attached to any of these bastards. So they don't have any power over me. So as a result, they don't even really, if anything, they should be kissing my ass because I got hundreds of thousands of bucks at these places. But anyway, I'm sure that's going to be a train wreck. I don't know whether you've noticed the banks are not exactly the happiest places to be on earth these days. In fact, I was joking. There's one bank that we deal with, and it just so happens to be the most heavily shorted bank stock in the entire world. And every time I go into the branch, I remind them of that. And I remind them, can you please work on your customer service? It's not an accident that you're the most heavily shorted stock in the world. You guys suck. Anyway. Bros calls doubled. Adam is such a badass motherfucking trader. God damn you, Adam. I got to tell you, if you actually come to TRI, you listen to what we teach you to do, and then you go out and actually do it in the marketplace. Damn. And Adam is such a testament to this. And it's great to see that Adam just shows up like a boss every day, every video. I'm so proud of you, dude. In fact, it was really cool. I woke up this morning. I got to hang out with one of our OG day traders in our day trading room, Craig, and he's a fucking boss. I get to hang out. Eddie here comes on in and hangs out in the Zoom call. He's one of the few people on the site that actually comes into the Zoom call on a daily basis. And if I was ever going to say, here's a guy that you should listen to try and help you to play the altcoin market, little old lady style kind of idea. Eddie's just perfect. Got Adam here. He's a total boss when it comes to options. Did you enjoy we had our TRI Secret Options Formula Club meeting last night, Adam? Did you enjoy that? Man, those David is such a fantastic person. As sort of our quarterback for the Secret Options Formula Club meetings, talking. And now, of course, these guys are just absolute spread trader gods. And as I said, we might as well pull it up. I haven't looked at it myself, but if Adam's telling us he banged out a nice win on his bros, then I would imagine. And I don't know, is that a long or short proxy? It looks like the stock market's melting down here. So if that was a long trade in this kind of market, way to go. That gets even further kudos. Where can I do that? I got too many darn things on the screen here. Actually, maybe let's go over to my other chart panel. This is the webinar that I went to yesterday. Man, that was a total waste of time. And I did notice, this is a stock we were looking at last night in the Stock Pickers Club, if you play penny stocks. But just understand, and really this is the same as venture cap when it comes to playing shit coins and altcoins and that kind of stuff. When you buy these penny stocks, there's a lot of them that just end up rolling over flat on their faces, and it's just it's a disaster. There was one that I bought last cycle that just went right off the board, and I had to take a punch in the nose on that. So if you do play these penny stocks, just understand what you're getting involved in. It's very high risk stuff. All right, is this the bros here on the NYSE, Dutch Bros Inc.? And nice pop, even just that little pop. Yeah, I suppose there's your 2-to-1, eh? So even that little pop here gave you a nice little double on your options. Man, you're a badass motherfucker. Yeah, well, those alternative fuel stocks, they're kind of looking interesting. I like, geez, I tell you, Adam. And actually, I haven't seen, oh, yeah, you're right. Look at that. Son of a gun. And that's a weekly chart, too. So what's the daily look like? Gapping higher. I don't know whether I really want to chase that, but, gee whiz, talk about location, eh? That thing's getting pretty cheap again. Anyway, so yeah, there you go. The bros, look at that, up 4.25 on the day. And I suppose the options are just going crazy. So nice job, Adam. Par usual. Geez, you're a badass motherfucker. Speaking of which, badass motherfuckers. Just wanted to make a shout out to the TRI community, any TRIers who are watching this. And if you could pass the message around, we've been thinking about doing the pro boot camp this fall. We were thinking about doing it in the spring, and then I kind of got lazy and decided I didn't want to travel. So we didn't really do anything this spring or summer, but we're thinking about doing it in the fall here. We put somebody, I'm not sure who Dino is, but somebody put a poll out here. What month would we prefer to do it? I don't really want to do it in September. That's awfully close. But we might maybe want to do it in November. And I was told that this is just sort of the default, the way that it goes here. So if you are interested, and there was about 20 or 30 people that actually did express some interest in this program. So if you are interested, get in here and let me know. Because if I don't see more than like, I don't know, half a dozen people that are actually serious about this, then I'm not going to get off my butt and go all the way over to Europe this fall. I'll just sit here on my fat ass. But please come into that pro boot camp room and cast your vote. And if anything, just show me that you guys are interested. All right, so back to what we're supposed to be doing here. Clearly, you can see stock market's not really that happy. Interesting to see things like NVIDIA darlings of late are getting beat up, along with Tesla. Actually, I was putting out a few tweets. I was actually quite tweety this morning. And it was kind of weird. I mean, God, I could probably spend an hour talking to you guys. What day is today? Wednesday? Yeah. I don't know whether Chris and I usually we don't do an after party on Wednesday, but there's just so much that we could talk about. Maybe we will do one. I don't know. Chris says, I made the poll. It's a bot. Oh, okay. So thank you, Chris. Appreciate the assistance. Okay, where are we supposed to begin? So we're supposed to begin once upon a time in a land far, far away. What is best practices? I think it's a good idea that you always just sort of start your day with a regular routine. And I've actually found that when I have been doing this with you guys over the past, 6-8 months here, it helps start my day. It helps frame the day. And generally speaking, I can be a demonstrator of best practices if I go through this regular routine. So first and foremost, how are the computers feeling? Yeah, if computers are feeling pretty good. I'm not hearing any clunks, so that's always a good thing, knock on wood. How's diet and exercise? Diet's okay. Exercise, damn shoulder. And it's actually interesting is that the more I exercise, the more the shoulder hurts. So I'm not quite sure what I'm doing wrong there, but yeah, it's a pain in the butt. And I still think that I basically was poisoned by those vaccines, and I'm probably going to carry this ailment for the rest of my life. Thank you very much, Big Brother. Thank you very much, substitute drama teachers turned medical experts. Yeah, you know how it goes. Eddie, where's Eddie? Eddie, should I head out and talk to him? uh, what do you say there? Eddie says, "Yeah, I know I'm a badass altcoin trader, but no vote because I will get to Europe in November." Oh, okay. Well, if you can get to Europe in November, man, we'd love to have you. Um, how's my sleep? I had a really bad night last 2 nights ago. Last night was pretty good. I forced myself to go to bed very, very early, and I just tossed and turned because of the pain on my shoulder. But anyway, I tried to force myself, and you can probably hear it in my voice. I'm probably a little bit perkier. All right, what the hell happened in the world overnight? I had cautioned you guys about this. Yeah, I think it was in yesterday's recap video that China was going to report inflation deflation numbers. And I actually was also posting in the lounge, and it's shocking. I couldn't believe this. I watched a video, and of course, you know, how much of this is propaganda, how much of it is, you know, we're being programmed to think certain things. But I actually couldn't believe the fact that, and, you know, I just, you know, sit and watch YouTube videos just like the rest of us. And I couldn't believe this was a video that I saw yesterday. I don't know whether you believe these guys or not. I mean, I'll leave it up to you. We won't play the video here, but I was absolutely shocked that it turns out that the flooding that's happening in China, and again, I don't know whether this is political, and I mean, if this was actually the opposition, they'd probably have like targets on the back of their head and they'd be murdered by the CCP. So I get the feeling that these people are outside of China. But anyway, it turns out that actually a lot of people lost all their livelihood. I mean, you see, look at everything's underwater. And it was done intentionally. That's how evil these cocksucking CCP bastards are. And as I said, all to protect Z's ghost city. And the funny thing is this is almost like the capital city that they built in Brazil in the Brazilian jungle. I remember growing up as a kid, they went and built this big city in the middle of the jungle, and nobody moved there. Still not sure if anybody actually lives in that city in Brazil. Anyway, I mean, if you want to, I'll post. I did post it in the lounge, so any TRIers want to see this, I suppose I can post this on the YouTube chat. I don't know whether it gets put in the comments or not, but this was an interesting video to watch, about 20 minutes long. And I tell you, man, it's just a disaster over there. So, on top of the fact that they have all these natural disasters, you know, I personally think that the whole housing bubble boom that we've been living in the past, I'd say 10 years, is actually nothing more than a bubble that was actually not economically justifiable. And the sad thing is, I think the bubble popped with things like Evergrande and stuff blowing up there a year or so ago. And actually, I even heard another Chinese real estate giant is in really big trouble. And I saw it on the news dashboard here the other day. So, China's largest surviving developer hits debt crisis. So, and I hate to say it, but this is totally Brian tinfoil hats. You can subscribe to the idea or not. I don't really care one way or the other, but I actually think that this whole global sickness was actually manufactured to try and cover up the fact that basically the China lie that we've all had rammed down our throat for the past 10 years is nothing more than a lie, and it's actually being exposed. And of course, millions of people in China are getting completely wiped out, but we will never hear about that in the West, which is so sad. Anyway, tinfoil hats, blah, blah, blah. I think that the bubble is unwinding. So a lot of the fugazi that you've seen in our society is unwinding. And one of the fugazi, sadly, of course, is all the debt that we're living in. And I get the distinct impression that that debt sort of, you know, the Jupiter Saturn cross was the official pivot. And I think that was the turning point in history. It always seems to be. I was a broker through the 2000 Jupiter Saturn cross pivot. And actually, I even wrote a lot of the course material based on that pivot. And frankly speaking, I think I'll probably go and update all the course material in the not too distant future. because now we can use this last Jupiter Saturn cross pivot as an example of how the fear cycle pivots. And God, it's just absolutely incredible how it's played out. So anyway, it is what it is. I think I've said to you guys many times of late that the US dollar index, I think, of course, as the world's hegemony, has been working its way higher. And interestingly enough, it's actually been working its way higher since things like the, you can see Brian and his Jupiter Saturn crosses and all that. But actually, this thing pivoted through that financial crisis through 2008. So we have been working our way higher. And I would expect this to work its way higher all the way into probably 2035. It's going to be a grind higher. And in a weird sort of way, we're now into the environment. Like I honestly believe the whole Chinese thing, it's just a load of horse shit. And you want to listen to guys like Peter Zahn, he'll tell you that the odds that China itself even exists in its current form 10, 15 years from now are actually highly doubtful, let alone being the big economic juggernaut that's going to knock the United States out of world dominance as the world economic engine. I think that's all a load of horseshit. So who's in a good position here going forward? I'll tell you, a guy named Jeff Bezos, a guy named Zuckerberg, a guy named even Allen, I suppose to a certain degree. It's interesting how Allen has hitched his trailer though to China a lot. I think he's playing the whole globe though. A guy named Bill Gates. I don't know, you ever heard of a company called Microsoft? Berkshire Hathaway, basically the biggest shareholder of Microsoft. And probably Berkshire itself is going to own half the world by the time all this is done. Peter Fink, right? I mean, is there a theme with all of these people? And the theme, of course, is that they're all American. And if you want to buy their stock, you got to buy the US dollar to buy shares in their companies. So it's not a politically correct message. I would even say that. I don't think it's actually a politically correct message, but I think that's a reality that we're in. But anyway, it's my opinion. Take it for whatever it's worth. We do have kind of a vacuum in North American data today. As I started this whole rant off with that, I think that most of what you're seeing in the market today is all centered around this Chinese deflationary report and how things are basically unwinding over there. But if we actually looked at the econs that actually came out today, there really isn't a hell of a lot moving the market. There is the inflation data that people were interested in, and more importantly, I suppose here, look at the producer prices, just falling off a cliff here. So clearly, the economic engine of China is unwinding. When I got up this morning, really the only thing that we had to chew our teeth on, of course, is because of the debt downgrade. Mortgage rates are continuing to rise. I'm seeing a lot of reports, though, that, and this is exactly how I feel. I don't think you're going to see a recession in the United States of America. I think the United States of America is in very powerful position. They've done the Great Reset, which is just simply add a zero onto the end of all of your price tags, and they just get to continue the Fakezi going forward. Countries that are commodity dependent, though, big trouble. And then countries that are commodity dependent, but their leaders are somehow trying to get them out of the commodities business. And they've actually turned their country into just one big real estate development play. I think those countries are in huge trouble. And it's just a question of time until the rubber meets the road. And you all know exactly what I'm talking about there. Substitute drama teachers, blah, 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 blah. So in a weird sort of way, I don't think there was a lot of like killer econs that are driving this market today. Earnings reports are coming out. And what I'm actually hearing a lot of is, especially tech companies that had their share prices bid up so much that they would have to absolutely destroy earnings expectations and just like completely outperform, or their stock's going to get whacked. Now, it's interesting that Adam happened to pick a stock that's doing quite nicely, that Bros, but I don't think it's in the tech space. And in a weird sort of way, I actually think there's a lot of names that will do relatively well, but I don't know whether they're going to be part of the tech dream here, right? Dutch Brothers. I think these guys are like an auction house, aren't they? Oh, Jesus. All right. What does it say here? Dutch. Oh, yeah. These guys turn around in coffee shops, fall as labor market tightens, market talk. These guys are retail coffee, eh? Yeah. So not really anything to do with tech that much. So if anything, not a bad place to sort of hide out if tech needs to come off. I haven't even looked at Meta, but there's a letter of the alphabet we probably don't want to see. Some of these tech stocks, like I put out an extensive tweet about Apple today. Of course, we all know what's happening to Apple. It's interesting, this is a really good lesson. Number one, I think this was just an absolutely fantastic trade location. And thanks to, can I remember his name? I want to say John. Anyway, him MAB divs developer script on TradingView. You can clearly see, oh boy, there's a whole bunch of nasty bearish divergence in momentum indicators. So you come into a trade location and the market there is saying, hey, you better pay attention. This market is not nearly as strong as you think it is. And then what are we supposed to think if we ever see the market smiling at you? Remember, it's what the hell's that jerk's name? DFF, right? The Dan Freeberg FU move, right? So Dan Freeberg, they're smiling at you, and all of a sudden, so now the question is, where does key support come in? I've told you guys repeatedly, 38.2s. You should expect markets to retrace that kind of number anyway at any given point in time. And it's interesting how we gapped lower. I mean, technically gap theory, everybody who's done a level 2 program at TRI knows gap and goes. So gap theory here, boom, boom. That actually is a trend projection. And according to gap theory, if we go through these lows here, this is a gap and go, right? So we should go there to there, the distance of the gap to the low, and then project off of the low. And oh, what a surprise. That's going to take us into this 38.2. My hunch is we're probably got a date with Mr. 4.669 here. And then also, too, I think I've talked to you guys about this before. I mean, that is the most ridiculous gap there ever was. Just huger than huge. So Apple did trade to new lows this morning here, and you can kind of see it's just waffling here. So the question ultimately is, what do we have to sort of think about going forward? Because I don't actually think that the market's being driven by fundamentals today. As I said, I mean, obviously, Apple is closely tied with China. So, if there is problems in China, then, obviously there's going to be problems with Apple. But I actually think that the market is getting ready for tomorrow. And I think I told you this yesterday. The big event here is not really today. It's actually tomorrow. So I wouldn't even be surprised, just to go back to that image I showed you there. Japan, yeah, I think, North America likes to follow sort of Japan for the longest time in my career was a great sort of benchmark. So if Japan's down a good 0.5% on the day, I wouldn't be surprised if New York's down 0.5% on the day. And oh, what a surprise. The Dow's down 0.5%. S&P's down a little more than 0.5%. And then, of course, tech stock heavy, Apple heavily influenced, NASDAQ's down a little bit more. So, on balance, I don't really see anything out of the ordinary here. But more importantly, what's coming down the pike tomorrow? And if anything, where is our tomorrow? So Wednesday, Thursday, there we are. Boom. So we got big inflation numbers coming out first thing tomorrow morning. I wouldn't be surprised that the market actually gaps lower on the headline number. And then actually, we probably see things like, Where's our QQQs? Here we go. So this, I also tweeted this out, and I've been walking you guys through this chart pattern here. We're flirting with this downtrend line, and it looks like we're losing it. Or excuse me, uptrend line, beg your pardon. We did have this very tight sort of wedge that was developing. Do we get some sort of panic, sort of capitulation move on that inflation number tomorrow? And then we actually start the process of the dead cat bounce. It's interesting to see how our moving averages are threatening to cross bearish here. This will actually turn into some pretty significant resistance if this holds in here. But we're at a bit of I think we're getting awfully close to some sort of inflection point. Now, like I said, do we get some sort of puke out into foggy, boggy levels, and then we start the counter trend rally, or can they hold this trend line and then work its way back up into resistance? Huge holes on the gaps, holes on the chart gaps. So I really can't justify thinking about shorting here. If anything, I'd almost want to see us come back into this low, 2.618 kind of stuff, and then turn back up. So you can see that the market's smiling at you. There's good old Mr. Friedberg or Friedman or whatever the hell that guy's name is, smiling at us, getting ready to steal our money at the poker table, or the FTX table, or the market, or whatever you want to call it. So the technical damage is getting done. I mean, this has done a lot of technical damage here for us to get bullish again, right? And who knows how long it's going to take. You see how long this W took to form and how long this W took to form. It's going to take a bit of time to, number one, form the W, and then number two, actually go up and bust through all this resistance up top here. And I don't know whether, I mean, we're getting now on into the middle of August. So we're running out of time here. Usually September, and it's actually a pretty good reference for you, so keep this in mind. Usually September is the worst performing month in the stock market on average. So don't be surprised if September is sort of the catalyst that knocks us back down. I guess here's the end of September over here, and this would be September over here. This is the end of August here. So I don't know whether we follow this market symmetry path. I would say on balance, we should find a bit of support at this 2.618, which might give us a little bit of consolidation sort of heading in maybe. We have Jackson Hole coming up here. Usually through Jackson Hole, there's a little bit of a reprieve in the market as, people hope that through that conference, somebody says something positive and, it reverses the market. So anyway, we'll see how it goes. I suppose we'll leave off with just a quick boo at Bitcoin because we've talked a lot of stock market here. Good old Bitcoin. Weekly chart trend's still pointing up, so that's good. We're enjoying a bit of a dead cat bounce off of the 13 EMA, so that's good. We were kind of worried recently that it looked like we were working some sort of diamond pattern. We came back down against the bottom of the pattern yesterday. We rallied right back up into the top. It's interesting how they were able to run these stops here. This is on stamp. And this is what I thought this morning, and actually somebody on social media kind of held my feet to the fire. I actually thought when I saw, because I woke up this morning and we were ramping up here, getting all nice and bullish. And I was actually thinking that, gee whiz, this looks like kind of like there's your cup, that consolidation range there. And then this was our handle. And I suppose technically it is still alive, so it hasn't been busted out. If the NASDAQ can find some support in here and turn back up, we're still okay. But, when I woke up first thing this morning, I was like, holy bejesus, look at that. And then we just started melting away, and we melted right back down into this recent support. So if anything, it's kind of good that we've come down into these lows. And I think the stock market is trying to find some sort of bottom here. Yeah, see, look at that. So we've actually got a W. It's sloppier than slop, and I wouldn't really consider it a great trade idea, but nonetheless, bit of an inverted head and shoulders. There's the VWAP up there. So are they in the process of trying to clean this market up? You can see there's a whole bunch of bull divs and stuff starting to form down here. So with that in mind, maybe if we're lucky, the old corn can hold in here. If this is a cup and handle and we've accepted this as a range, then actually it projects a pretty sexy upside objective. If we just do simple fog and bombs here, boobity boo, you can see 2.618 is right off the damn screen. So there's your price objective all the way up there, 32,000. And maybe that makes sense, right? I mean, maybe what this is just simply play connect the dots, boom, boom, up into boom here. And ironically enough, remember, we haven't talked about this in a while, but remember, I had originally thought a while ago that this trend line was actually the dominant trend line, that key pivot low to that key pivot high, how the market oscillated off of that, as support and then as resistance. Do we have a date with this market just ratcheting right back up to tag that trend line from the other side? Wouldn't surprise me, it really wouldn't. You can say I haven't updated this chart in a bit, so some of these levels need crisping up. But if we can cup and handle here, I think we might just blow right through this reload zone, kind of like what we did last night. Which is an interesting commentary, right? Considering the way tech is acting here and Allen is acting and all that kind of stuff. Surprising Bitcoin's as strong as it is. Also, too, so I would keep a close eye on this. If this M actually fires, then all bullishness is off the table. And if anything, that might just correspond nicely with what we're seeing out of the QQQs. If we can hold these lows and you start seeing prints above this 30,000, not a big surprise, big fat round number. If you actually see that the market is trading up there and closing these candles above 30,000, I think probably we got a pretty good shot of a nice big fat move to the upside. And I would use the 2.618 as a price objective. I don't see any reason why not. So that's a big if. There's an interesting battle. If anything, you've probably heard me use this expression before, and I think we have basically a bull bear battle line going on here. So close above that level, the bulls are in control. Close below that level, the bears are in control. So, actually it's interesting because our level fours are doing advanced options trades. I might even argue this is a good example where you're going to buy a call looking for the break above these highs and buy a put looking for a break below these lows, called a straddle. If we do get a break and a close above or below, then you just blow out the other side. So if we get a break above, you blow out the put. If we get a break below, you blow out the call. And if we do get that substantial move to the upside, that call option could be worth quite a bit. And if we do, of course, am out and start breaking down, then you could technically do fog and bombs to the downside. And oh, what a surprise. That'll be looking for basically a move right back down against the bottom of the diamond. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled. I don't think we're out of the woods just yet. And I did hear a lot of people that were like, all right, I mean, God, they listen to social media and you'd think we're in a whole new bull market here. I don't know whether we're quite ready for that yet or not. I still think that 2023 is your accumulation year. We are in the most friendly part of the crypto market seasonally. But once we get out of August and into September in earnest, be careful, folks. And of course, November, December is usually pretty tough in these consolidation windows. And of course, you've listened to me, you've heard, maybe you've listened, maybe you haven't. You've probably heard me say before that if we look at something like a weekly chart, I actually really like the idea that into this fall period, 6 months ahead of the halving event, I'm looking for some serious pullback here in prices. We may never even get up this high. Maybe that's the extent of our rally. I do like the idea that there should be one more push to the upside here through the latter part of the summer, but I'm from Missouri, right? And so that means you got to show me. I'm not a believer just yet. I think so, but well, I guess we'll believe it when we see it. With regard to Schult coins, quick little summary here, and then we'll send you on your way. That's about a half-hour presentation here for you today. I do like accumulating these names. I don't know whether we're in a new bull market here. Probably the ones that are going to lead the charge are things like these artificial intelligence names. So if you're looking, kind of this is the same message about the stock market. I think I told you guys this, but if you haven't heard this, maybe write it down, take a screenshot, whatever. Usually what ends up happening in the market is the absolute darlings of the market break last. And then once they go into correction mode, of course, the public is all uber bearish. But what they don't understand is that once this thing is done cleaning itself up, the bear move is probably over. I know guys like Larry Williams and stuff were looking for some sort of bottom here, middle of August or so. You know, we saw the QQQs and some downside objectives that looks like we're pressing into. So if we do come into those levels, then that's probably the end of your correction. And I would make the argument that it's probably the same thing with things like NVIDIA. You know, that you can see they've got earnings coming out here in about a week or two. Probably that earnings report is going to be relatively positive. And once that correction's done, look out on that earnings report. We probably launch right back up top. So with that said, I think it's the same logic in things like crypto. You can see that this Rend, which I think was a very, very popular name through the winter and the early spring, and it did very well. I mean, it was a hell of a bull market. You know, you could make the argument, and all of you should know this from listening to me ad nauseum. You know, is that not a big market structure? And of course, what's Brian's favorite fib? Make that nice and easy. What's the area on the price chart that Brian always screams at you guys that you should try and think about buying? So hopefully you can see this is a pretty cliche setup. 78.6, original market structure bottom. Market looks like it's just working its way down here. We're starting to we have one confirmed div. I wouldn't be surprised if we work our way down into here. We have multiple divs at this point. And I think that that's sort of the end of the correction. So I actually like using this guy as a proxy for how that crypto market's going. It doesn't necessarily mean that there aren't other names that are going to do well, Schultcoins, all that kind of stuff. But I think that the sort of official correction in the market will be done when this kind of stuff cleans itself up and it starts spitting out buy signals, big fat W's and all that kind of stuff. And then look out. So my attitude right now is go slowly. I'm not really in a big hurry. There are names that we have bought, sell halves on doubles, pulled back into reload zones. Could this thing have another pop back up top here? Sure. But your job was, of course, to buy down, especially on dips against lows and W's and stuff like that. I don't know whether I'd really be too enthusiastic about coming in on the buy side here. I mean, this would just be strictly a momentum play. And if we lose these lows, you better get the hell out of there. Yeah, you can see there's a bit of red on the screen here. So I'm just going to, I'm going to stick to the same message I've told you guys all along here. I think 2023 is your accumulation year. If you buy names and they happen to pop and double, and the great part about it on TRI, and I talk about Eddie at length because he's just so awesome. We actually have a room now on the site for all the little old ladies of the world. And it's not really, I don't want this to turn into a chat room, right? We want to try and keep the chat to the lounge. But if you happen to have an altcoin that sparks your interest, you can see that people are just posting their ideas. This DDBB looks like he's getting better at identifying nice, cheap names. Of course, there's Brian, little old lady wants to buy some more. So we're constantly posting ideas that the little old ladies, of course, hey, there's a little old lady. Thank you, Josh. I love this kind of 1 + 1 = 3. where we all work together to try and find good ideas. And if you want to build a little old lady plan, of course, that has very specific risk metrics and stuff, and how they actually identify good ideas and what your strategy is, that's your playground. Go have fun in there. And I've said this repeatedly, and I'll say the same message. I don't know whether we really want to get too wrapped up in the back and forth of 2023. They always say don't fight the Fed, and the Fed is still got a hard on for raising interest rates. So I'm not really totally comfortable with saying that this is a risk taker's market yet. And of course, the best part of the seasonal window is actually come and gone. We're now into the part where you're supposed to start getting ready for October. And I said earlier, September historically is the worst performing month in the stock market. So do we really want to step in the face of that? So if you want to accumulate, great. If anything, over the next 4 or 5, 6 months, this is actually an opportunity when stuff goes on sale. This guy ripped all his way right back down into reload zones and stuff. Great. Start accumulating. Do your little old lady plans. Nothing wrong with that at all. But outright rip roaring, this is a new bull market, we're going to get rich, FOMO buy. I don't think so. So anyway, there's your report for today. Hope you guys enjoyed that. PMA for the win. Slow and steady wins the race. Hopefully, I think tomorrow you'll get a big old dose of Julian. And I know some of you guys are big Julian fans, and that's totally awesome. He has a very unique way of looking at the market. So I think it's a nice yin and yang kind of idea. Hopefully next Tuesday, we'll have Sjord back on the call. So if you're a big Sjord fan, we'll have him around. And then, as we work our way through the summer months and maybe get back into the fall, hopefully all of our OGs will start coming back from summer break and stuff. And we can start doing the Friday contributions from various different OGs as well. So I really think that the daily briefs have our diverse view. We have a lot of different views, and everybody's got something to contribute to the pie. So, all right, have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win. Slow and steady wins the race. Are we going to do an after party, Chris? What do you think? What is this? Hey, Chris, would be a good idea to talk alts during after party.
I guess the public has spoken.
All right. Eddie's our public. All right. Thank you very much, Selah, for your best wishes with regard to Liam. I think we're going to do a Coinigy show tonight. It's always a challenge. Crypto Kid says, yeah, it looks like we're going to try and do it. I think I'm going to run the OBS tonight just to make sure this damn thing goes through. So look forward to that. And of course, Adam, he'll be here like a boss. So Adam, be sure to have your speakers on and help us with our audio just to make sure it's operating correctly. All right. Have yourselves a great day, everybody. All the best. PMA for the win. And bye for now.